I'm high, but I'm getting high.
All right, welcome back to Coffee, Blunts, and Donuts. It's your girl, Natasha Tamara.
It's your boy, Gas Daddy, ITS. I'm the smoker, East Coast Snoopy. Got a new name every week.
This guy.
Something weekly.
Yeah, there you go. New name every week, guy. We're here to have rich, well-rounded discussions from a higher perspective.
Right.
Welcome. We are here, another day, another episode. What? Episode 23.
Is this 23?
Yes, we are moving and grooving. Thanks for everybody who's been on so far, who's been supporting, watching, streaming. It's been great. We've been having a great time. We have a very special guest with us today. We're here. We are in May. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So, we wanted to bring somebody on and have a little bit of a discussion about that and
mental health and cannabis.
All that, the correlations and the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I guess I should do my introduction for him. He is Doctor of Clinical Medicine.
Psychology.
Clinical psychology. Let me get it right. Jeez. Why didn't you say it? Jeez.
Nah.
He is a psychotherapist. He is an educator.
Really proud of this young brother. You gotta get it right.
He's our boy. He's our guy. Okay? He is our guy.
It's always great to have a psychologist in the circle.
Right. We're going to get deep. So give it up for Dr. Kwame Dance.
Appreciate y'all. Hey, there you go. I like that. I appreciate y'all finally having me on. I've been trying to get on the platform for a long time.
There's no better time with Mental Health Awareness Month.
That's true. We were waiting. We were keeping you in our pocket.
Before we even get started, I just want to say, I'm so proud of y'all. Y'all are getting it. It's like, I understand, y'all are my people. So it's just dope to see y'all doing it like this. Right. So thank you for having me.
Thanks, Kwame. Mm-hmm. Thanks for the support. We trying.
No, we out here.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Break down your title that I just messed up and everything, and then we'll go a little deeper. Okay, I'm sorry. You can
break down the journey to the title.
Okay?
No doubt.
No.
It was good. It was a great intro. Thank you. Thank you. So, so I am a doctor of clinical psychology. I'm a psychotherapist and I say educator because I work in a few different settings. So I work in school-based settings. I work at a public high school in Boston as dean/psychologist there. We operate like a clinic in the hospital. I do community-based mental health as a psychotherapist at a behavioral health center also in Boston, and I work with adults there. My jam is kind of making programs to inspire young people to become mental health professionals. So I have 2 programs that I built out in that way, one in Cambridge, 2 in Boston. And what else I do? Oh, and I teach. I just left a course that I'm teaching on diversity at the doctoral level. So do a few things. So you told me to get into the story, how I became. I'll try to do that quickly. But I don't know. I was really, really fortunate just to have good mentors. And I think that's why I made it a priority to be a mentor to others in the field and to give people exposure to the field, especially Black and brown, young people. But I was fortunate. So my mother, when I was coming up, at least for part of the time, she worked as an office manager at a behavioral health and research center that was Black run, Black created, all of that at Boston University or Boston City Hospital when it was. So she was there, and I just ended up having all these aunties who were in the field, and they became rock stars in the field. So they brought me along and kind of gave me that early exposure. Plus I just had some I like to tell people, I tell my students that the skill that's most necessary is exactly what y'all are doing. Listening and being curious and being able to ask people, poignant questions. So I kind of always had that bone in me. And just the ability to do that, and also just to be able to figure out what people needed or what systems needed, and be able to assess and analyze, and then, be able to fill the need or try my best to, or lead people in that direction. So it was a little bit innate in that way, or early learned. It was having the exposure. And then the last piece is just lived experience. Like I've had my own bouts with mental health issues, as well as in my family, and not just bouts, but just like, living with, mood disorder, things like that, anxiety, ADHD, things that we'll talk about today. So my lived experience helped drive my passion. So I'd say that's a summary right there.
Yeah.
Right, that's interesting. So it's like you came up around it with strong role models in the field, and you actually chased it. And it's crazy because I feel like I knew this guy my whole life, right? Yeah. I know him his whole life. We played football together and everything, and it's like, there's these journeys and you see, and I'm listening to him today, and it's like, how I can see him going to college. I can see him doing certain things. I can see him do anything, right? But I would have never thought like, oh, wow, he's gonna jump into the psychology field.
Yeah.
Like how much schooling is that to get to that level of?
Jeez. I feel like I was in school
still,
forever.
right?
Yeah, to an extent.
Ends.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like you're forever a student.
It is. And it's so funny you say that, because I remember it was my senior year in high school. And right after prom, a bunch of us went out to Revere Beach. And I can remember this vividly. We were sitting around in like a circle on the sand. It was kind of weird, but whatever. But we were all talking about what we see ourselves doing. And everybody had like an answer, like lawyer, whatever. You good?
Hold on, wait. Why are you laughing at people's jokes? Yo, hold up, time out. That's a great. I want to be a little.
I ain't gonna knock somebody's.
Hold up.
There were people that were saying they were gonna do some things that they probably weren't cut out to do, but
no. I wasn't laughing at that. I wasn't laughing at that. We finally, I'm sorry to cut you off, but
for sure.
We finally got some coffee here, and
you don't like it?
My first sip.
Yeah, this coffee's amazing.
It's good, but there was a little extra additive in there.
Shout out to the coffee.
That's a little strong. It hit me in the back of my throat, and I was just caught me off guard. I'm sorry, Kwame, but shout out to the coffee today. Shout out to the coffee and coffee blunts and donuts.
Man. Right, the coffee today is via Guatemala.
Woo! Ooh, I'm so sorry.
Check that out.
It is.
It's but back to Revere Beach. I'm sorry, you're in a circle. People are saying they want to be lawyers and everything. I wasn't laughing at that.
My older brother's a lawyer.
Get a psychologist here. Now we're gonna laugh about lawyers.
I wasn't laughing.
My older brother's a lawyer, and that's part of why. That's another reason why I'm a psychologist.
Okay.
Oh man,
because you need to be able to balance that out. But like people were saying that they want to do different things, and only thing I could come up with is, I think I'm going to be a lifelong student. And I said that in that space, and here I am. So in terms of how long it took, so 4 years of undergrad. I went to undergrad at Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut. So then I took some time. I did some clinical research. I went to school knowing that I wanted to be a psychologist or neuroscience. I love neuroscience. I love the brain. I could talk about that all day. But something about like that intro bio talk in college, talking about plants, I don't know. It just didn't. Well, y'all got to teach me about plants. That's why I'm in the right place for that. But yeah, so
you were about the people.
I was about the people more so. So that canceled out the neuroscience track. But psychology, I always knew I wanted to do. I went through some stuff in undergrad. It was a different dynamic coming from Cambridge and being used to the diversity that Cambridge has and going to Range and all that, or had. City's changing some, but like coming from there, I wasn't used to the environment that I was moving into at Trinity. So, I got depressed straight up, and it was just real racist. I experienced my first overt racism there. The school's changed a lot. They've done a lot to fix things up, but I was really struggling there. So my first 2 years, I like completely bombed. Mm-hmm. And then I found my community through my fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and I was able to bounce back. But at that time, my GPA was all jacked up, so I couldn't go directly into grad school for it. So I did clinical research in Rhode Island at Brown, and built up some experience. But then I decided, I want to get away from the field a little bit. And I ended up going down to DC, started working down there at a nonprofit. And then it was DC in my early 20s. So I was having a good
old
Chocolate City.
Yeah, Chocolate City.
Oh,
man. And y'all know this side of me. The other side was like, I like, again, finding a need and filling it. Still the same skill set, but I used it to promote clubs and parties down there. So I did a lot of promo and event planning and all that stuff, and was living it up in DC, probably a little too much, and ended up coming back up to Mass. And when I came back up to Mass, I started going to school to Boston College for developmental psychology while I was here. And the other thing is I started a MBA program, a Master's Business Administration and Marketing program down there, that I left when I left there, but I ended up coming back to. So I also have my Master's in Business Administration that I finished up when I was in my doctoral program. Itzy, you were there when it happened, but I remember I broke my arm. Yeah. I don't know if y'all see it on camera, but playing flag football, and, just a crazy freak accident that really had me out of commission. So I had to leave BC, and my job at the time, only thing I could line up is a job at the youth center that I grew up in. Quick. And that was the only thing I could do with one arm. So I did that. And long story short, that got me back into working with young people and working in the field. And one young person I was working with at the time just asked me, like, why didn't you, finish if that's what you want to do? And I had no real answer for him. So I went back for my doctorate. And, so altogether, how much school? Like maybe a total of 10 years after college.
After high school?
After college.
Wait, 10 years after college?
So I did three masters and a doctorate. So essentially, I didn't finish the masters at BC.
Yeah, hold on, time out. You're not hitting the buttons over there. Yo, three master's degrees in a doctorate.
Yeah, I mean, one of them, I didn't finish, I did 3 master's programs. One of them, the BC, I never finished, but I did a year of it still, and then I did the MBA, and I stretched that out. And I
know guys don't get an associate.
Yeah, man, but
gonna finish. Cause I'm saying not finish. At least you start in these programs. Even being eligible for these programs is like legit.
But I wasn't at first. Like I had to build up, and it was really the experience. And I think I brought some different skills that my classmates did. Like I wasn't always like the smartest. Certainly, I struggled to read growing up. It was classified as dyslexia back then, but now we call it specific learning disorder for reading. But even still, like that may have been the wrong diagnosis for me, but I did have that going on. So I didn't have, with special ed accommodations, I didn't qualify for an individualized education plan back there, IEP, but I had something called, in hindsight, I didn't know it as that back then, but what we call a 504 plan. And so I had like a smaller reading group, and people were mean as hell back then. So they make fun of you. So, and this was when I was a kid. So that also, invoked some anxiety for me. So I used to freak out when I'd have to read out loud. Yeah. It wasn't the reading, like I could read silently pretty solid and still, but the reading out loud, something about, how I translated from my mind to what I produce. It didn't come out fluidly. So that got in the way. Rocked my confidence, and confidence is everything as a young person for academics. And, and I think I always dealt with mental health issues on my own, depression, things like that impacted me in school. But I built some other skills. So one of the things that I did is I used to like memorize. If we got some reading in front, I used to memorize whatever I was going to read before it got to me, and I'd count it out. I'd be like, I'm going to go for it. So I could read silently well, so I process it in my mind and I do that. I developed the ability to, people might call it BS, but think on my feet really well. So that was something. And then build relationships and all of those skills. And I was always decent at like math and stuff, but all those skills really translated into me being a good student the further along I went. So, yeah. It was cool. So,
and here you are, a doctor.
And that's interesting because I definitely relate to what you say when it comes to the reading thing. Mm-hmm. I felt like I became like a good reader because of the fear of being made fun of once they called your name.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, I never been like diagnosed in any of those things because like, but I was doing those same tactics. Like, you're sitting there, you're like, wait, hold up. You can tell by the paragraphs, like, we're doing paragraphs.
These 3 sentences.
And you're like, all right, if it gets to me, I should be around this point. So you read it, you get it right. You're like, oh, word. All right, here's the big word. Let me figure this shit out.
Yep. I still do some of that stuff.
I mean, when it comes to like doing things aloud, yeah. So, and I think a lot of people did it because like, and it's funny because the people that had the most jokes and like the things we talked the most shit, we the ones that, because we were like, if we knew it, at least we got called out loud to read. Yeah, we got this.
Yep.
Like the math equation might be different. They put you on front sheet in the fast right away. Yep. But the reading, man.
Nah, for sure. One thing I was always, and this is something else that always helped me just all through. I was always a good writer. So reading I struggled with, but I was always a strong writer. I just understood how to write to structure and stuff like that. So that, if there's one thing that I think saved me, like in terms of hard academic skills, it was that. So anyway, and it's made money. I write grants. Like that's a big part of the work that I do. And that's a very important skill for that.
So you write grants to get money for research for mental health, or
research what? And or programming. So like the workforce development pipeline expansion programming that I do. Even so, we actually built out a clinic at Cambridge Community Center. So it's a behavioral health clinic. We do psychological testing for to give people more insight on how their mind works and what might be going on, and give treatment recommendations. So we do that, and we do psychotherapy, group psychotherapy, all at no charge, so no cost to the people because that's all grant funded. So
can you define psychotherapy?
Yeah. Please? So when we talk psyche's just the mind.
Yes.
And so therapy is treatment.
But as opposed, so that's just like psychology, the act of, or how's it differ?
No, I got you. So so you have clinical like practice, like mental health providers who will like do our traditional talk therapy. That's the easy way to say it. So traditional talk therapy would be psychotherapy. Now there's different models that you could use. Some people do more cognitive behavioral therapy, which is working to help people to understand the connection from thoughts to feelings to behaviors and disrupt, any of those channels that's causing some sort of disturbance to one of those other ones. So like if somebody's acting out or someone's behaving a certain way, cognitive behavioral therapy, you might want to adjust the way they think about their feeling to impact the behavior. So you do that. Then there's things like psychodynamic, like you folks have that like old school image of a psychologist smoking a cigar while someone's laying on the couch telling them all about like their trauma with their mother or whatever from childhood and how that manifests. That's called that would be psychoanalysis or a psychodynamic kind of psychotherapy. So
I heard of that.
And there's other kinds. Those are just two examples. But so psychodynamic, when we're talking about psychotherapy, we're usually talking about talk therapy versus things like other types of treatment. So I work as a therapist in some place. So psychologists can do all of that. So we are trained in psychotherapy. We're trained in assessment. So the testing I was just talking about, as well as working in systems. Like, I think in the place that I'm at right now is working to, direct hospital settings and be more in leadership roles in those spaces and teach and research. We do all of that. So. That's the thing. But I'm here to talk about some other stuff.
Yeah.
What you want to talk about?
What you want to talk about? I want to talk about, since you're talking about therapy, I mean, weed is kind of a therapy to people.
That's
So, you know, how do you feel about people using weed as therapy and treatment?
And especially for certain things like PTSD and
medical marijuana and just all of it.
Well, see, and yeah, this is what I want to talk about in this space because. And
I'm like, do you?
I know.
I'm like, well, let me know.
I keep it real. I mean, y'all know this, but I will not lie to the viewers. Yes, I smoke occasionally. I'm not a big weed smoker. That's why I'm not smoking, because y'all be talking gibberish right now. So, but I do indulge every now and then. And what I'd say, I guess my story sort of connects to, you know, my views and even the views I hold now. So I didn't start smoking until I was going into my freshman year in college. And so I think my view is, in terms of when it's not as, you know, detrimental, is the later you get, the more your brain forms. And there's research now, back when we were younger, people thought your brain stopped growing at like 18 to 20. Now research will tell you that it for women, it's more like 25. For men, it's more like even 28 to even some people will say 30.
Now, do you think, was you told this while you were younger? Is this one of the reasons why you stayed away from it?
I stayed away from it because I was scared of my mother. And I was an athlete, as you know. And I didn't know how many of my boys were smoking weed that were on my team. I just didn't know. But I thought, you know, I was listening to my coaches, things like that would tell me, like, if you smoke, it's gonna fuck you up. You won't be able to breathe when you're running. So, you know, I played football, but it, so I didn't smoke at all. In fact, that's my first time I smoked. It was after an all-star game. It was the summer before I went into my high school, into college, but it was after an all-star game. And we were with teams from, I was with one of my boys now from another school that we had beat in a big game, would be Everett. So, they were like the team. And one of my boys over there, he got real competitive. And of course I got competitive too. And I did drink, which I'll talk about drinking versus smoking and what I think about both. But I did drink. So we were drinking. I got fucked up because he was like, he wasn't really drinking. So I basically downed a whole bottle of whiskey, like a whole handle myself type shit. And then he somehow got me to smoke, and everything came up. But then I was like, fuck it, I did it once, so, you know,
it's in my system.
It's in my system now.
It's in me now. Oh man,
and it was what it was. But I never learned. I still don't know how to roll a blunt, and the reason why, I know I'm playing myself right now, but the reason why is I never wanted to. I would smoke way too much if I knew how to roll, but I do keep a bowl in my house. I do what I gotta do, but like periodically. But back to your original question. You know,
cannabis and PTSD.
Yeah, cannabis and PTSD and other anxiety disorders, mood disorders, things like psychotic disorders, things like that. So I don't recommend it for adolescents, certainly. And there's lots of reasons why. For adults, anytime you're putting any kind of substance into your body, there can be negative effects. So that said, if it's drinking to fall asleep or smoking to fall asleep, there's less negative effects or most researchers would say for smoking weed. Issue is, which we're starting to resolve now with medical marijuana and dispensaries and things like that, is before it was, you couldn't control it. There was lack of control. Now that there's control and people can, you know, really make sure they're smoking what they think they're smoking, it's a lot safer in that way. Just to talk a little bit about like the developmental effects of smoking. So when we're born, I'll move through this quickly, but when we're born with billions of neurons in our head, so in our brain. So first step is, like, for our brain, our big process is we want those neurons to talk to each other, so build synapses to connect them. Next step in the process to do that, it has to myelinate, or, like, you know, strengthen the connections in some areas and then get rid of the connections in other areas that we're not using. We call it the process called pruning. Mm-hmm. So when your brain prunes, it's making your brain more efficient. And that process is what happens until you're 25 to 30, depending, right? So what THC does is, so the other part of it is we have these things called receptors. So receptors are like locks, and then we have these molecules and neurotransmitters that open those locks. So there's one molecule that anandrodrin, I think, anandronide. So that's what opens a CD receptor. So it opens that. But THC mirrors that, and it goes in. So it's called runner's high when it's the natural one. So when you're running, yes, you get that little high feeling. But what THC does is THC mirrors that, and it opens the same thing, but it stays in there longer. So THC creates this big rush of that runner's high, and it stays there. But what makes it difficult, what makes it challenging or where the problem lies, is it stays in there long, and then the molecule that's supposed to go in there can't get in there into that receptor. So what happens after that is, it feels good, feels better longer. That's great. But it also fucks up your ability to do what your body's naturally supposed to do, especially at a young age in adolescence. So like
young men that start smoking weed in 7th, 8th grade, by the time that they're, say, 21, 23, if they're continually smoking at a high rate, what would you say?
Well, so if they're smoking at a high rate,
brain development,
right. In terms of like the neuroscience with it, they're the kind of problem. I know, right? That's so many people. The problem though is you end up needing. It's not addictive in the same way nicotine is,
right?
But in order to stay regulated and normal and function normally, you need to smoke more weed. And for younger people, because those CD1 receptors are all over your brain. Really, they could be in your body too. But the younger folks, it can affect different areas of your brain differently. So like your amygdala, which controls your stress responses and stress hormones. Which is tied, to get to your question, it's tied to PTSD and anxiety disorders. That's that fight or flight response or freeze response that we have. It can make that fire out of control. So when you don't have the THC in your system, and this is mostly for
so that's when you fiend it.
That's when you fiend it. Exactly. And that's when you get.
That's when you're like, I need to smoke.
And even like, it can impact a lot of different areas that map onto anxiety. So to answer your question, if young people are smoking regularly on a regular basis, then you might see their body dysregulate, and when they're not smoking, they have more anxiety and more depressive symptoms and more sleep disturbance or whatever it is than they would have at baseline without it. So whereas older people, when you're over 30 or over 25 for women, your brain is kind of formed. So it's just is going to be what it is. I mean, I'm not saying there's no risk, but it's also not,
You know yourself.
Yeah.
You know yourself on and off with better,
and, Yeah. That's true. So I tell my teens at my high school, you can't tell people not to smoke. They're going to smoke. But I tell them what the effects are, and so they know what they're getting into. And adults, unless you have a predisposition for something like a psychotic disorder like schizophrenia or something like that, then I might give different advice. But I also, and this is just my opinion, I don't think there's a lot more substances that are much more harmful that I've tried and those things.
Goddamn.
Yeah, no, I seen like a study that now the young adults are preferring to smoke weed and do shrooms over drinking. Like they're not drinking anymore. Like alcohol.
Thing. But would you say that you would attribute? I just always wondered, like, would you attribute bipolar disorder to early childhood smoking and things like that?
Could be. And like I said, there might be, I mean, when you're throwing off the way that your mind normally produces emotions, bipolar disorder is a mood disorder. So it's classified as you'll have something called a manic episode. So a manic episode has things like decreased need for sleep, increased risky behavior,
and is that like
sexual behavior.
So is that like a chemical disorder?
All of these, I mean, our brain's full of molecules and chemicals and structures. So yeah, bipolar disorder would be operating on that, and it works in tandem with your serotonin, like neurotransmitters,
triggered by certain things,
and it can absolutely be,
triggered by weed, alcohol.
Like, and you can, I like to say there's a well, not just me, like there's a model called the biopsychosocial model. So you'll have biological factors. It could be genetic, bipolar disorder. It's one of the, it can often have a strong genetic correlation. But there can also be environmental factors or social factors and psychological factors that, like, the way that we process whatever the trigger might be, that all those things work together to contribute to if it manifests. So if you consider weed to be either environmental or like a psychosocial experience, then it can absolutely impact that biopsychosocial stratosphere that can impact and create a manic episode or hypomanic episode. Your body's always fighting to balance out. And this isn't first of all, I'm saying all this.
That's what I was going to ask. I'm like, what do you say to the people who are the pro weed that help them for medical reasons? And to be real, the benefits.
Yep. Thank you for bringing me there, because I actually see a lot of those. So I have to lay out the one side in order to lay out the other. Yeah. So antidepressants, and I'm not anti-medication, I'm not anti any of that, but that's also a supplement or medicine that you're putting in your body to decrease something like anxiety or depression. Those also have negative side effects. One big one that you'll always hear on any commercial is the potential for suicidality. But there are lots of them. There's sexual side effects, things like that. And everybody's brain chemistry is a little different. SSRI, or a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, which is like a really common antidepressant that, may work wonders for one person. It may not for somebody else. It may trigger suicide ideation with somebody. Weed might be the better option for that person. And I think that's, and we've seen, like, whether it's pain management as opposed to opioids, like Percocets and things like that, and OCs, or it's using it as a sleep medication as opposed to something like Ambien, which can be more addictive, or, weed can have lots of positive effects, but it really depends on the individual, just like medicine, just like talk therapy. As much as I want to say everybody can benefit from talk therapy, and I do think that talking is important, some people get that need met from other spaces. Like, coming up, I didn't have a therapist, but I had the football field, and so I really think there is an individual component. The only thing I feel strongly about is, like, adolescents, teens, not smoking regularly. It's not gonna kill. I won't say it's not gonna kill you. I'll say controlled weed probably isn't gonna lead to. It's probably gonna make you hungry. and
it ain't what they thought it was. They're saying the gateway drug. Yeah, like, you smoke this blunt, you're gonna smoke crack.
Yeah. That's been disproven. In fact, a funny thing, a finding.
Like, it's not a gateway, right?
Well, I was about to say, and I can't cite the study. It was a meta-analysis of the DARE program, remember drugs?
The DARE program.
Drug
Is that
abuse,
still happening?
resistance education.
Some type of program like that?
Yeah, they have things like that, but DARE.
It's the best T-shirt by most drug using.
Exactly. It's
the best T-shirt to wear by the drug using public. Oh,
right. And the funny thing about DARE is over this meta study, which is like a whole bunch of studies put together. They looked at like the effect, how effective it was, and it showed that there was a slight positive correlation with reported drug use after you.
What?
I just learned about this brand new drug.
Yo, they showed you the party. They said Timmy likes to party.
Right.
Timmy goes home late, and you're like, "Damn, Timmy's everywhere."
I want to be like Timmy. Nah, but so
Chris is bored.
That kind of thing. But yeah, adults smoking, I don't see it. Right. To be honest, I don't see I'd be a hypocrite to say I saw a huge issue with it.
Okay. That's all I like to hear.
Now, I am not a psychiatrist or a neurologist or a medical doctor. I'm a clinical psychologist. That's what I'm speaking to. But from my perspective,
psychologist. That's the same thing. Dr. Umar Johnson. He said
Dr. Umar.
He said, "Oh, Dr. Umar."
We're gonna talk about Dr. Umar. Don't get me 1,000 lashes or whatever.
Right.
I hear that.
Hold on. I don't even know what that means.
So no. He has this whole thing. He he's a Pan-Africanist, which shout outs to Pan-Africanism, Garveyism, all of that. But
it's a beautiful thing when done correctly.
Yeah, exactly. When done correctly.
Exactly.
And there's a lot, you hear a lot. All right.
Yeah, and it's a what it is essentially, it's a celebration of the diaspora and feeling like we should be doing for our community and doing for us. And it's but Dr. Umar has some really strong views about interracial dating. So
interracial dating,
LGBTQ issues, all of that.
Has strong views all across the board.
And he's very loud, and he's very persuasive, I'll say, and I would say very intelligent. He was a
highly educated. I'll say that.
He was a school psychologist first, and then got a doctorate in clinical psychology too. So he's very educated and very, like I said, very persuasive, very good with his words, and honestly, I listen to him a lot. I see he's one of those people that kind of has you until he doesn't. He'll
exactly.
Oh wow, this is really this is amazing.
Something where you're like,
I don't know if I could kind of undoes.
He went too far. I'm done.
But
I get what he's saying.
Exactly.
I definitely understand it.
I do too.
Black people, black love.
Yeah,
black community.
Big ups to that.
Like, I'm all about it. But sometimes
Absolutely.
you need those people out there.
Absolutely.
Because if not all of us, we need somebody out there doing it, being the voice. Doesn't have to be the voice of all of us, but there needs to be a voice out there.
For sure. For sure.
Talking about it. So
I don't like echo chambers where we're all saying the same thing.
Right.
Exactly. That's not good.
Exactly. Exactly.
Cheers.
That is great. Tell us about your foundations and everything.
Yes, let's get into the foundation.
Yeah. So things that I support. I mean, I talked about a few of them already, but like I said, the initiative at Cambridge Community Center, that's the new one. That's kind of my baby right now. We've gotten shout outs to all the folks and entities who have funded us, but we've been able to build out something really special and a nice model.
And what do you do with this?
Yep. So this is the free therapy and free group. Now it's free to the consumer, to the families that take advantage of it. But it's
so families can come, young and old, mother, kids,
families,
anybody,
individuals,
together.
Couple. I didn't even talk about that, but couples counseling is something I do in my own practice. But yeah, so we have psychotherapists. I'm pretty intentional about talk about Dr. Umar hiring Black and brown folks to be doing the work, and folks of color to do the work. There are reasons for that, but yeah, so we're paying the clinicians and the folks who are doing the testing market rate so that they could provide the free service or the service to the to the person for free. And that was about 6 years worth of work to get enough funding to be able to do it. And frankly, COVID relief was what put us over the edge to be able to get going. So, so that's one big one. And then I do a lot of work with, so the project that I'm doing at Beth Israel Hospital is, and through the Harvard School of Medicine Psychiatry Department, it's an early psychosis exposure program to careers and things like that. So what we're doing through that, we just got this dope grant from Department of Mental Health to do a short film, to raise awareness on psychosis. And when I'm saying psychosis, it's, we're talking about like things like schizophrenia and other thought disorders is what we would call them. But so we're doing this film, and again, and we're going to do a release for that, but that's coming out very soon. It's really well done. So I'm excited about that. But those are my big grant funded projects right now. Mm-hmm.
Now, when you say psychosis, sometimes I think of like, do you do like hypnotism and stuff? Does that go into it?
I do not official. No. I mean,
associated with this.
Do you believe in that?
Yes, 100%. And I actually, clinical hypnosis for sure.
Clinical hypnosis.
You're definitely not hitting the button. Yo.
Yeah. Oh, you wanted me to hit a different button for that one? Oh,
I don't know. I'm just saying.
I can't hit. I don't even know.
One of my early mentors, I didn't even mention them, and I should have. So my cousin and my aunt were also mental health professionals, social worker, and a clinical psychologist. But my older cousin, she was she does clinical hypnosis as her practice, and I have seen it done. I've been trained unofficially, but I do want to get my
can you put some hypnosis on him real quick?
Well, it's about, I mean, you're right there right now. The weed now talk about heightened. So what it is getting somebody to essentially, this is a short version of what it is, but it's getting somebody to a relaxed state so that they can be more susceptible to influence.
What happens if you can't turn it off? Just stuck out there like a zombie.
I mean, the idea for certain things is not to be able to turn it off. Like clinical hypnosis is the best treatment for it's an evidence-based treatment for getting people to stop smoking cigarettes. Like so the way that she did it in Get Out, that's what most people will see. But you're creating a focal point so the person can look at it, they get really relaxed, and then you're suggesting things to them as they get relaxed. And it's not as drastic as the sunken place, but when using a clinical setting. But yeah, I mean, I absolutely believe in that. We do it to each other. Who have you ever, like coming up, did you ever
mind games manipulation?
No, I'm hip. It could be that.
So when you watch movies, we're gonna say the whole subject. So when you watch movies like that, right? Do you watch them from a different angle? Like when you're watching Get Out, are you watching it from a different? Like I'm watching it, watching it with a spoon. Like, yo, she's
we do that.
This is crazy.
Yeah, that's my coworker right there.
See what I'm saying?
I mean, I probably appreciate it from two different lenses. I was like, wow, that's a great focal point. I actually, I ain't gonna talk about what I did. Yeah. I'll probably lose my
hold up. Hold up. So, see, I'm so confused.
We had a class.
I believe it.
Yeah, we had a class when I was in undergrad. It was like advanced psychotherapy, and back, that was 20 years ago or whatever. But back then we were, the professor wanted us to, you can never do this now, but try out a model with psychotherapeutic intervention with a classmate. So I tried hypnosis, and I inadvertently hypnotized my roommate, and he said some wild stuff like oh no, true, like some trauma came out and we had to process through that. But you should be a trained professional, but it's a thing. And what I was gonna say is like, so Itzy, you got kids, so if you I put that on blast, I don't know if I'm supposed to, but whatever.
No, you're
grown up. So, but have you ever been like asked, like, Dad, can I, you be half asleep, can I get $10 to do this? You're like, yeah, right? So you're at a point when you're tired, you're at a point of heightened susceptibility to influence. So that's why,
because you're not all there.
You're not all there. Yeah. And that's why as a, even with like interrogations and stuff like that, the police will keep you in there for hours upon hours so that you get tired to the point that you would admit to things that you didn't do or tell things or whatever.
So that's the feeling of hypnosis, kind of, when you're like in that sleeping subconscious. Wow. You know, I believe in it. Yeah.
Have you ever done it before? Y'all ever seen it?
I feel like I've seen.
It don't count in Vegas. That's Vegas.
I feel like I've seen one on TV or something, but I believe it. I believe it could happen.
I'm 50-50 on it because like
let him hypnotize you.
Why? Let him hypnotize you. There you go. See, she's ready. What does that even mean?
See?
Like, yo, that's when I'd be like, see, dude, see what happens?
Right.
He was faking the whole
That's
time.
another treatment for mental health and everything. So, yeah, exactly. Get you next time.
Yeah, you can never go around people like him now. You're sitting there next to you, you're at the bar talking to him, and he's like,
so
the bill's here. We're like, wait, who ordered Louis XIII? Never paying the bill.
Have you ever
a focal point?
Put a little hypnotism on any girls or anything? Any have them focus on
next
this?
Yeah, exactly. Y'all pass.
You could have said a long time ago. You know.
No, you can't.
No, what I'll say is this: I think that some folks have a natural ability to kind of mesmerize with.
Yeah, there you go. That's what it's called.
You say it's almost like the art of seduction and things like that. It's like manipulation or like they got books and like those self-help books like them Robert Greene books. Yeah, it's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a thing. I think that happens a lot in the dating world, to be honest with you.
But you think it's more manipulation though, right? Than it is.
I think manipulation has
being more and like an educated, like what you said with the whole focus.
So there's clinical hypnosis, which is used to make somebody better at something or be able to live the life that they want to live in a certain way. So that's different than just having a captivating or mesmerizing personality,
like a pimp.
I think so. Yes, that is
pimping. That's why they say
I get it.
There's definitely an art. It is. I would say that. I would say that's true. You can use manipulation for good. You can use it for evil. I think it has a negative connotation. The word itself has a negative connotation. So, I'd say my biggest criticism from, and this is me putting myself on blast too, but like some of my friends will say I can be manipulative because I can be passive aggressive sometimes. So I might say something like, don't you think it's a bad idea to, smoke that vape right now while but instead of just being like, yo, don't smoke the vape. Like I won't do, but no, it's not. Smoke the vape. You good. You solid. So don't worry about that. You're an adult. but nah, like I think passive aggression, more direct manipulation, like gaslighting, that things like that, those can be negative. But then creating change that's positive in somebody's life, I think that's also manipulating. You're doing something to change somebody's behavior.
Do you believe in accidental gaslighting?
Accidental.
By definition.
People like there's some people that just operate and move in certain ways and speak in certain tones and things like that, right? I think so. It's like if they feel like this is how they are and this is how they operate, but it could be like every last thing that they do could be gaslighting to shit. Every person in here, like right now, Justin's moccasins are gaslighting me. I'm looking over. That's all I see. No, for real. No offense, but it's each his own. They're very comfortable. No.
But gaslighting,
I didn't know we were being comfortable.
Gaslighting would be me saying, what are you talking about? There aren't any moccasins. He don't have any moccasins.
You can't see what I can see right now.
Yeah.
We're sitting in two different angles.
Exactly. So I think that somebody, to your point, I think that to somebody it might be gaslighting, to somebody it might be sharing their perspective.
Exactly. I feel like the gaslighting there has to be some gaslighting purposely behind the actual gaslighting, or it could come off. Yeah,
but I mean, like more in the conversation, like if somebody was.
Yeah, but then that's just how the person takes you. But if you're intently saying some gaslighting shit, you know that you're doing that at that time. But if it's just like, oh, that's just how I talk.
There's no such thing.
There's a difference. There's a difference.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
But the person receiving the gaslighting, they don't know the difference. So,
they
can. To the recipient of it, or the person being gaslit, it's kind of in the eye of the beholder, like, exactly. You know what I'm saying, like, because you don't know if so
the receiver of the gas, okay,
but it's, I would say that along with narcissists are like the two.
That's the new term too. Everybody's a narcissist.
Like, now. Exactly. Those are the two most overused.
Narcissist. Narcissist the new.
Yeah.
They are narcissists.
And now we could maybe get into this now. Amanda Seals and Club Shay Shay have brought autism spectrum into the conversation in a different way than it was before.
Yeah, everything is on a
being diagnosed at
spectrum
an
now.
older age and things like that.
And self-diagnosed.
It's like, wait, tell me, she's self-diagnosed?
Yeah, yes,
that's the
she's
deal.
self-diagnosed.
Wait, I'm not. Is she a psychologist?
No.
Well, at the same time, like, wait, hold up. What?
Yeah, that's why.
Exactly.
It's a little wild.
She sat up there and was.
Well, she gaslit Shannon Sharp in that moment.
How
they find out she was self-diagnosed?
She said it.
She said it afterward
in the interview that she was self-diagnosed, autistic.
Well, and specifically what she said is what I gathered from what she said, it seems like she saw a clinician of some kind who said, well, you might have autism spectrum disorder. It sounds
but I could kind of see it because if you look at the symptoms of autism, like, I don't know, sometimes I can sit back like, oh, I'm quiet. Like, I might be on the spectrum sometimes. I'm like...
and I'm
serious.
You know, they called us...
I knew he was going to...
No.
It's serious.
It's called a spectrum for a reason.
Exactly. It's called a spectrum for a reason.
It's a wide spectrum.
Damn it.
So, I was going to say it like this because I don't want to get no smoke.
Get him.
Everybody's on the spectrum.
Everybody's on the spectrum. One can make the argument for that.
Right. For real. So I understand where she's coming from when she says that, but
Well, the thing is, what you said is when you said it, you could kind of see it. I think some of the things she was off in some of I can't remember correctly, but I remember when I saw it the first time, she was off on some of the symptoms that she listed. But I mean, even just watching her, like some of the what we call social pragmatic skills, skill deficits that you might see in autism spectrum disorder, she has some of those, and
such as what?
So. Always being perceived as, perceived differently, and like even at a young age, meaning like there was something about her that other kids were picking up on, even with limited interaction at a young age, that was different, that was odd, or quote unquote odd, or neurodivergent.
That's a new term too, neurodivergent.
That wasn't a thing before, but I think it is. So some terms get overused. I think that what is divergent? It just means different from what we would consider to be the norm. So in neuro, we're talking about the brain. So if your brain functions different,
your brain is different. So
yeah. So
another term for
it's a couple sometimes
autistic.
It's like you just jump out of nowhere. Oh, I'm not.
There's no more special needs, right?
So somebody would.
That's also an ill title for it, though. I ain't gonna lie.
There's no more R word.
What's the What's the R word?
You know the R word.
I don't.
RET.
Oh my God. Man.
He is the R word right now.
Yeah. So instead of that, we would say intellectual disability.
And Living Color would have never made it in today's society.
Right.
So that's y'all talking about
100%.
that guy.
Yes. So we would say somebody had an intellectual disability instead of saying what we used to say, which was retarded. But
back then was retarded actually. So retarded was two ways. Was it actually a medical term? Mm-hmm. Like, oh man, your baby's been diagnosed with retardism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like,
why are you laughing? Spectrum.
It's all good.
She's like, I'm quiet.
Hey,
I'm on the spectrum.
All on some.
Yo, she been talking this whole episode. And I'm like, when are you quiet?
Sometimes I am quiet. You don't see me 24 hours a day. Shut up.
Yo, she's like, I'm quiet. I'm on the spectrum. She's self-diagnosed.
Well, yes, she did
self-diagnose.
I'm just saying.
We want to be
I understand.
And diagnoses. What are diagnoses anyway? It's a way of lumping
serious
symptoms together that was created by, people, experts.
Exactly.
So to your question, what did you just ask me? You asked me about mental retardation being a diagnosis, and it was
being that being the title for
that
it.
Was a diagnosis. That was a,
you know what I'm saying? Like
mental retardation.
So what young kids who said, so technically young kids who said, yeah, you're retarded. It wasn't really, they were saying the real diagnosis
a made up word.
But
it got,
it turned into derogatory.
It
obviously it flipped to derogatory.
Exactly. Same as, actually, I won't even throw out any other similarities. I could think of some.
But it's crazy because sometimes it was weirdly a term of endearment where like you'd be laughing, goofy, like someone was super silly. You'd be like, yo, he's retarded. Yeah. And you mean nothing but like he's super funny.
Right.
Like nothing like, and you, damn, technically it's like you're like, yo, that thing is super funny.
And what you're speaking to is language. Language is always evolving. So when we have certain buzzwords, they could change in a couple of years, and that's really difficult to keep up on.
Yeah,
and words do matter, so it's kind of
right. But trust me,
kind of both.
I'm definitely not offended by old white men that are like 78 and up. I'm like, I expect that.
There you go.
Like that's what they know.
Like, what are you talking about?
He said, boy, I'm laughing like, yo, this guy is wild.
Yo, so back to Trinity, when I said I had a hard time, I remember I stopped playing football for real. I wanted to go to a party that weekend too, so I wanted to go. But my coach was an older Italian man. He was like, it was after I pledged. He was like, I didn't bring you here to be leader of the colored people. I brought you here to play football. Now, other than me not wanting to get kicked out of school, reason I ain't jump across the desk is I was able to take a step, think about it, and process the lens that he was speaking from. And he was an older gentleman and still didn't rock with him. Still couldn't play for him, but So
he
context
was back.
matters.
He went back in 1942.
He
was talking
he
to
he wasn't that old, and that's why I was like, "Come on now."
Even now,
exactly.
Yeah, that's those type of experiences are crazy because I've been like,
yeah, man. So so context matters with all that stuff, and with language, I think we should do our best to try to evolve with it as much as possible, so we're not offending people. That's the big piece is trying not to be offensive. We want everybody to feel heard, feel validated, feel safe, all that stuff. But and with that comes some change, but also the other coin is some grace needs to be given. I think I don't think we give each other enough grace. We're so quick to cancel in this culture. Whereas, I think if, we did that and we aim to understand somebody's perspective or point of view, then I think that's the avenue to create change.
Cancel culture is getting a big like pushback these days. Like there's people that are coming out to be like, nah, I'm uncancelable. Like, listen,
that's ridiculous.
I'm gonna keep coming. Like at the end of the day,
people are out here like, all right,
saying things like
if you want.
People are getting like, you can cancel everything. It's like, I don't like them. Yo, I'm gonna figure out a way to cancel this. Like, just cancel that. You and groups get attached. Like, see, I don't even want to.
They make you apologize. You better apologize to everybody, like for this one thing that you said 10 years ago on your tweet that we found.
Nah, I'm not getting into that.
And we get into the whole boy who cried wolf situation. If you're fighting every single battle,
right,
then what are you really fighting? People tune you out. So I think that's even we see that in politics with if everything look at how we're dealing with Trump right now. Like everything is the end of the he's I'm not gonna get super political here or anything like that, but so if you end up picking at every single thing, then you lose people. Like people think that it's a witch hunt, and that's what Trump's playing on as a witch hunt. But you'll see that in lots of areas.
Yeah, nah, come on, Bill. When it comes to Trump, it's kind of like, they're doing whatever they can do to make sure he can't run.
But it's not working. That's my point.
Yeah, but they're doing whatever they can do to make sure he can't run.
Right.
And they're trying to find things and such. And it's like, it kind of makes it like, they made the presidency comedy.
Exactly.
Exactly. They were saying that there's not going to be a president in like 2 years. That it's going to be like, fuck it, no president.
That might be a good idea, but I don't think that'll happen. But I think that would be a good idea.
Who knows?
That's some shit people in Texas are probably saying. Because if you know anything, Texas can definitely break off.
Yeah, it's in there. Why there's nobody else other than Joe Biden and Donald Trump. I don't understand.
Yeah. You love Joe Biden.
No, I do not. I just don't understand why there's nobody else in this in this country. Excuse
They're
me.
both on the spectrum.
You're gonna get canceled for that, okay?
Definitely gonna get canceled.
If you're gonna get canceled for all this spectrum scandal,
I said earlier,
slander.
If let's rewind back to like whatever minutes it was when I said we're all on the spectrum.
All right.
Now, to save you real quick, there is something.
I'm unsavable.
There is something. There is something to normalizing.
Being on the spectrum,
having neurodivergence of any kind. I'm trying to help you, bro. I don't want you canceled because I'm proud of you.
Why would she even say that? Because
why would I say what?
You gotta have a different code.
When is she quiet?
I guess that's
what she should have been quiet.
She's trying to Angela Yee you. She's trying to get her own show.
Wow, this is what happens when you bring friends up here. And they start talking shit.
Hold on.
But
she made one drop of coffee.
She trying to get right?
I'll make more next time, but
oh damn,
no more. That was a special little hit.
Remember special brew? Oh yeah, I didn't even tell you about St. Ives.
Oh so man,
alcohol. I didn't smoke.
Get into the alcohol,
but I did drink early.
Like alcoholic drunk or like...
Man, listen, I was bad. Like high school, I used to take shots before every football game I played in.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So 15, 16?
So would that consider yourself like a teenage alcoholic?
Yeah, probably.
Because basically being an alcoholic is almost just like...
I use it to cope with my anxiety.
4 drinks and like, damn that.
Yeah, I use it to cope with my anxiety.
And what were you anxious about at that time? If you
fucking up.
Was you taking a shot or was you swigging out a bottle?
Oh yeah, I didn't have shot glasses.
So you swinging on a bottle, right?
I was getting lit before every game. But yeah, every game I ever played.
And then going out and playing football and getting hit in the head and
all of
like,
that. Yeah, that's
do you think that affected you in any way with playing football?
Well, yes,
but CTE at that time wasn't really spoken about.
Yeah, no, but now it is.
We were taught back then.
It's just called a stinger.
Yeah, exactly. We were taught back then. Remember?
Get it together.
And Pop,
they slap you in your helmet right after. Yeah, like, get it together.
Yep. And Pop Warner, we weren't hitting unless we had the other team's paint on your helmet.
Yo.
So that was how we were brought up. I had a really bad head injury in my senior year in high school, so it was.
They would have called us the R word.
Yeah, and I played the whole. they would have, but I played. I played the whole year with it because we didn't have the research, and that's why, like again, growth matters, evolution, medicine, paying attention to those things matters. Because yes, I definitely see some effects. Although I would never trade my football experience for
the new way they do it. But the new way they do it is better, and the longevity of like brain growth and everything.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, exactly. I wouldn't want my kid playing football until they're close to middle school, like 11.
Contact football,
flag football is cool. Soccer is
that's interesting.
Track, all that's good. And I started playing football when I was 8, 9, and Natasha was one of our cheerleaders. Let's go, Tasha. She was lit. But yeah, no, I think that would be a little too early. I think you again, we talk about like the brain developing, and that's just a little early to take the chance on getting hit in the head like that.
Right.
And you think that's why Papuana is dying down, because there's not even any Cambridge Papuana anymore.
There's not?
No.
Well, Cambridge did have Papuana for a while, then they got back.
Yeah.
Programs fall apart easily though.
And I used to be I was the interim president for a hot second, but I was
Cambridge
Papuana. But shout out to my man's Coop for picking it up when I moved.
Coop
I moved back to DC. But yeah, I was that, and I was on the board and coached for a long time. But it just started. I mean, the demographic in Cambridge just completely shifted, so that's part of it.
Right.
I mean, you got more soccer families than you did
football families.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. Yeah. Damn, Kwame. Thank you so much, Dr. Dance. Dr. Dance. Let us know where we can find you on your socials and everything, please, so the people know.
Yep.
Well, more than that, on your socials, let us know where they can find you at these, where they can come get these free programs.
The foundations and stuff on the socials. Yeah. I've seen the links.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because Tasha's on the spectrum, and we want her to get all the help she can. Jeez.
Oh my gosh! You see this, Justin?
You about to get me canceled by Karen.
No, you did nothing.
No, I'm playing with you.
All views are by Tasha.
Hopefully, this is all raising awareness, which is what this month is all about.
Exactly, Mental Health Awareness Month. So the more we speak about it, the more will be norm, and we'll have more help, and 100%. People will be more apt to come out and talk about it.
Now you got to be more open to like psychology in a lot of communities, and like especially back in the day, like black communities. More, not even I can say black. I'm gonna say people of like just colored communities would just not support psychology. It's kind of like, I don't go to psychology, I'm not crazy.
Therapy,
like if you were to see a psychologist, you were considered crazy, no matter what you went for.
Yeah,
you could have went for like you said, people going for like smoking cessation and things like that. But like, nah, you go to psychologist, you're crazy.
Yeah.
That just was always attributed to being crazy.
Yeah,
and it's like what I'd say. Looking at ink cards.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Rorschach. I actually like that type of assessment projectors, but yeah, it's we've done a lot of good work. I think a lot of celebrities have been helpful in that. I think a lot of mental health advocates, especially in Boston, have led the charge in doing stigma reduction work, as well as people just, I think COVID made a huge difference. Like people started paying attention to mental health.
That really did.
You would ask me about my
yes, I'm like, he freaking just interrupted me. He always be doing that. You see? What is that?
On it. That's part of my
narcissist.
We got
right.
That's
we could do. We could start up co-host therapy. That would be a nice.
We need that.
We're
gonna need that. Okay.
It's a wild organization.
I might coin that. No. You good. So you could reach me. So on Instagram, you could hit up Dr. It's dr.Kwame, Kwame Dance, DANCE. On Insta, same deal for my website. It's dr.KWAME, you could check me out on the Mental Health Access. It's one of my programs. It's thementalhealthaccess.org. And but at any of those channels, you could find me. I'm not hard to find.
And anybody who needs like Black therapy resources and everything, they can come through you.
Yeah, but I actually put nudge folks over to another resource for that. So shout out to Dr. Charmaine Jackman. Her TED Talk's coming out soon, but she has a web platform, a directory called InnoPsych, INNOPSYCH.com, and that's a directory just for Black clinicians. BIPOC clinicians especially, but she does have folks who work with other underrepresented demos, and therapy for Black girls. There's like a bunch of them, and psychologytoday.com as well. But yeah, but you can also reach out to me, and I'll try to point you in the right direction.
Right.
Cool. That's great. Do you have any other comments, sir?
Nope. Nah, I'm joking. Nah, I appreciate it.
You really want to get us
so
canceled? Are you done?
Why would you say something like
Nah,
that?
yo, he's good. He's good. Nah, it's all good. It's
No,
great
thank you
conversation.
so much, Kwame. It's been
Appreciate
great.
you.
And we learned a lot. Mental Health Awareness Month.
No doubt. Yeah.
You're watching.
When those cameras go down, maybe I could smoke a little something too. So
Yeah, we got it.
You know what's crazy?
What?
When the cameras go down, and I just cry, I'm gonna be like, oh.
Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Coffee, Blunts, and Donuts. Yeah.
Roll it, light it. I'm high, but I'm